What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show. We started a little earlier because of some news that broke. So, hey, we're live from 3 to 5 p.m. right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Hey, how you doing, guys? We started a little bit early because the phones were blowing up, and we said we're going to probably have to dive into this a little bit longer now because a big pitcher is off the board. Zach is feeling some type of way, and a guy that was connected to Baltimore for the longest time, up until it finally wasn't. Ranger Suarez is heading to the AL East, but he's heading up to Boston. 5 years, $130 million. We'll get into this. We'll get into some of the Ravens situations. Some of Bisciotti's comments that we didn't talk about yesterday. Plus, John Harbaugh is up in New York and why we think he might not leave there at all. He might just very well be the next Giants head coach. That and a whole lot more. So if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. But Zach, okay, buddy, let it all out.
This is just what I don't know why I'm shocked, but it's like you said, it was all Orioles. It was all the Orioles. It felt like they were the team. It was, that was where Ranger was going. Heck, we talked to Jared Carrabis yesterday, and he even said it. He was like, yeah, it's the Orioles. Orioles and Suarez. Just felt like a perfect match. Orioles would get their frontline guy. And here we go. Here we go, off the board just like that. And, it's like that thing, Ryan, that saying where it's like, looking back, that was kind of effed up. Yeah, celebrating Bregman leaving the AL East now seems a little messed up because now it looks like we are now seeing the repercussions. So tweet it out, give Framber Valdez $200 million, tell him he has 5 hours, and go from there.
All right, heel cinnamon on the 200 mil, Zach. I know how you're feeling. But
I'm done losing pitching.
Okay, well, hey, for those, hey, heel cinnamon, heel. Let's bring them down. Let's do our job right here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over, Zach, pull the tweets, and we're going to break down what this deal is, and I'll explain why I'm shocked that Rangers going elsewhere. But, Zach, I'm not shocked because of what the deal ended up being, and it's because of a couple things. So could you pull up the tweet of the years and the money? And right here. So Jeff Passan, the Passan bombs out there. The Red Sox first signing of the winter is a big one. $130 million for Ranger Suarez, and that gives them a ton of rotation depth with Crochet, Sonny Gray, Brian Bayo, and others. Boston now will turn to add another bat to its lineup, but that rotation is excellent, and it sure is. That is a huge addition to the Red Sox. So here's the part, Zach, that I want to focus on. And actually, it's not on this part, but the contract length is 5 years. 5 years, 130 mil. And I think, Zach, if you can find, I believe there's no opt-outs. No opt-outs, no deferral. So here is the thing when we've discussed this for the longest time is what would it take for Ranger Suarez to be signed? So I said I thought it was going to be in that 25 to 30 million range. I thought that would be the number. Well, that stayed true. If you're doing the math here, it's just north of 25 mil a year. So
I think it's 26.
26, right? It is $1 million more a year to get it to 130. So 26 mil a year. But the part was, Zach, and I've mentioned this before, pitchers or teams did not want to give out 5 years. And I really thought Ranger for 4 with a 30 million AAV might have gotten them. But clearly a 5-year, no opt-outs, and 130 million got the job done. And look, as much as I could say, hey, Baltimore, what the hell's going on here? What's going on? They didn't buckle on that. Hey, we're not going to go 5. We're not going to go 5 years. And I think people can realize they have spent this offseason. And I'm not against them on this, Zach. I'm not. There's 130. And the bigger part is, I think the bigger story to me is that the Red Sox, instead of pivoting a bat, they pivoted and just said, screw it, we're going to go get an arm now. And they did. And now this rotation has gotten significantly better. And I'll tell you, who's the happiest man in the world right now as far as for this right now, Zach, for a little money? You mentioned him.
Framber Valdez, 1,000%.
Framber's sitting there going, all right, who is going to be the desperate team next? Who's going to come to me now to try to get this deal done? But what's scary if you're a Baltimore Oriole fan, Framber, the Mets, other teams then are going to be, there's going to be a desperate team. Just how desperate is the Orioles going to be, Zach? But that to me, this is a direct correlation of Alex Bregman saying, hey, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to Chicago. Zero doubt of that. So I want to emphasize that. But I think you and I are on that same part. The 5 year, I think, was the crusher and the killer in this deal.
Yeah, and I think it stings even more because it's a division rival. Like, I'm not going to lie. If he was going to the Mets, if he was going to the Giants for this, I'd be like, dang. Like, that's tough. Stings a bit. But, okay, now you're facing him at least probably 2-3 times a year when you play Boston. And then if you make it to the playoffs and you play Boston, you're going to have to face him again. And we talk about he is a playoff performer, playoff riser. I believe it's like a 1.8 ERA in the playoffs. This is just, at this point, it seems like the years is the big thing that pitchers are going for. They want stability. You know, you see sometimes coming into these negotiations, we saw it with Montgomery and Snell a few years ago. As the offseason gets further and further along, we're even starting to see it a little bit with Kyle Tucker. Teams come out there and they're like, hey, I'll give you 2-3 years for an insane AAV. Mets offering Kyle Tucker short-term deal, $50 million a year. Like it felt like, okay, are we about to start getting in that range? But here we are on January 14th. Maybe it was quote unquote desperation from the Red Sox of like, oh, so Bregman's not coming back. Okay, we got to spend this money somewhere. And they gave him 5 years. But I do think it was 5 years is what got it done. If the final offer was 4, I don't think this gets done.
So, and I think going back to the Zach, the Dylan Cease one created a narrative or a perception that the pitching market was going to be scorching hot and these deals were going to be insane. It didn't turn out that way because overall, teams are more afraid than ever to give out years. They're more afraid than ever for pitchers to give out years. And I get it. And in this case, I like when you asked me why I thought Ranger was a great fit for Baltimore, and clearly why I think he'll be a good fit for Boston, pitchability, knows what to do. He's a big game pitcher. Now, is he a hard throwing lefty? No. How long can he keep that up? Well, that's to be determined, but you felt good when you're looking at the numbers, 3 to 4 years. That makes sense. And for those to look at this in context of this, right, Zach? So
yeah.
I'm going to take this tweet off. We're going to come back. Hey, Zach, come closer. Hey, Zach, come closer. So the main thing that I look at here is, I just had a great train of thought and it went away from my mind. Come on back. My thoughts are fleeting, just like Ranger Suarez from Baltimore to Boston. But the bigger part here is it's when I look at last year's free agent class, okay? Max Fried got 8 years. Corbin Burns, what was it, 5-year deal, 6-year deal, 210? And so you have to ask yourself, Max Fried, 8 years. No one wanted to give 8 years. The Yankees did, but let me ask you, is there a Max Fried in this free agent class?
No.
Is there a Corbin Burns in this free agent class? Healthy Corbin Burns?
No, there's not. I think Valdez is close.
He's close. So for value of what you were going to do, just looking at last year, let me put it this way. Dylan Cease got 7 years, $210 million. If you had a choice in this case between Max Fried, Dylan Cease, Corbin Burns, in those three, I'm going to take Corbin and Fried. And that's no knock to Cease. I love his upside, but that turned it all upside down. Yeah. And as much as I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I wanted Ranger in Baltimore. I thought the fit was really damn good, and I think that hurts, which also we'll get into what we think is going to be next then, because we'll lay out the options, but that does change a lot. But, Zach, it reiterates more. If Framber is the cream of the crop for a big deal, then in this case, you stuck to your guns. You said, we're going to wait. Now, could that bite them in the ass? Could this bite the O's in the ass? Of course. Mm-hmm. But I don't blame them or any other team for not going 5 years for Ranger. I don't blame that. If I saw a 4-year deal and the same thing, I would be sitting there going, then you gotta, if you're saying you're getting the frontline guy, which now makes me to believe it's Framber or you're going to trade. And we'll get into all of that right there. But the 5-year piece can live with that. Can live with that part. But damn, dude, the AL East is a freaking gauntlet.
Yeah. I mean,
Kyle Tucker's going to have to make a really tough decision here, but the reports are that Kyle Tucker has got the largest length of a deal up in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So for the Orioles, the emphasis is you're going to have to go make another move.
And that's what's scaring me is because I thought Suarez was the slam dunk. I thought that was okay. It works out. Maybe there's mutual interest. It seems like the Orioles were all in on him. He was going to be an Oriole. You just had to get it done. You had to do the negotiations. Boom, put pen to paper. We're good. But I would be lying to you, and maybe this is the Oriole fan, lifelong Oriole fan in me talking. Right now, I'm not sitting here going, okay, what's the move next? What's that next pivot move? My worry is there a next pivot move? Is it, because like you said, is this going to come back to bite them? Do they go after a Zach Gallen or a Framber Valdez, or do they re-enter the trade market? Or does suddenly this sit here and we go into spring training and it's, hey, we got Shane Baz and we brought back Zach Eflin and that's going to help this rotation. That's what worries me, is that I think we all agreed, well, yes, Pete Alonso, fantastic signing that helped up the offense's potential. But the big area of need for the Baltimore Orioles coming into this season was you needed that top end guy. You needed that guy that you could go out there and hand the ball to every 5 days and know the consistency to go along with the more questionable things of Bradish's health. We all know when Bradish is healthy, top 5 pitcher in baseball. He's still coming off of Tommy John. It's going to take some time to ramp up, all of that. You're hoping Trevor Rogers continues what he did last year. Those are more questions. Shane Baz, same thing. You're hoping to reach his potential. Eflin is more of a security blanket. I feel like when healthy, especially if his back thing is dealt with, you've got a pretty good starter in Zach Eflin there, but you're still missing that top end guy like a Ranger, like a Framber, like a Peralta, like, one of those guys. And I'm starting to get concerned that if they don't walk out with one of them, that it's going to come back and bite them. That was still, if you get one of those top pitchers, this offseason looks incredible. And the addition of Pete Alonso just skyrockets you. But I don't know if you would have asked Oriole fans beforehand, hey, they don't make any improvements besides, we'll exchange Shane Baz and Grayson. I think both of them are high potential with some risk. They didn't make a big splash at the rotation. I think a lot of people would be disappointed in that. So I do think they need to be aggressive with a Framber. I know some people are split on Zach Gallen. I think they need to be aggressive, and if they like him, go get him. I think you have to reopen the trade market. I mean, Ryan, we kind of thought that maybe they were done with the trade market for a top-line pitcher, but That was while we were assuming they were kind of all in on Ranger. Now, Red Sox, they pivot. They went and got Ranger. So now it's where is the next step? I think that's the big question. Do they go trade market? Do they like Framber? All of that. It's going to be those questions that need to be answered between now and I believe February 11th when pitchers and catchers arrive in Sarasota.
And here's now those dominoes speeding up. So, we've seen it now over the last 2 weeks of just more pitching moves and teams making decisions. Ryan Weathers went from the Marlins to the Yankees last night, by the way, which we hadn't really discussed there, where teams are now evaluating where they're going to try to push more of their money to. The Yankees realize they need to figure out, they need to get Belly signed. They need a bat signed. And that's still the priority. Both sides know it. It's good for both those teams. But then the Yankees say we're going to pivot. We're going to get an arm, but we're going to have it under more controllable assets here where we're not going out and breaking the bank for another big pitcher. You already did that twice with Garrett Cole and Max Fried. So you did, and Rodon. So like you got 3 of your horses this next year. You got in free agency in the past. In this case, I want to start with this. Do I think the Orioles or any team, or especially I'll just stay with the Orioles, that the Orioles, if they had the rotation that they had going into the season, will they compete? Absolutely. That's absolutely. But the point isn't about whether you're going to compete. The point is going to be, do you solidify an opportunity to go and hit the ground running, and you're giving your new coaching staff the best opportunity to do so? Because here's the thing, Shane Baz could be a top 2 pitcher in your rotation, but you don't know right now. He's not there, and he might not get there. Trevor Rogers, you hope he's going to continue to be that, but you don't know that yet. So those uncertainties in this situation are why you don't want to get burned again, because the expectations are going to be there. And I believe that this team is going to play significantly better than last year, Zach. To my core, to my bones, in the stones, I really do believe that. But when you're looking at this division, you can't afford to get into behind the 8 ball and off to slow starts and fall behind. Not that you can't make the playoffs, but Toronto is going to be good. I'd be shocked if they're not. Boston.
I think I lost you for a sec. Can people online? Yeah, you're back. You're back. I didn't know if it was me or you. You said Toronto. You'd be shocked at Toronto, and then Boston. Continue.
Toronto, Boston, New York, and Tampa's going to be scrappy, but Toronto, they're going to be tough. Boston, yeah, I am speechless on Boston, but Boston, where I was going with, and the Yankees, and even Toronto. More so, this conversation favors Boston and New York, but the Blue Jays have made. Obviously, they spent money on top end pitchers, but we're going to see Gausman. I've loved Gausman. Cease has the upside, but if you want to consider those guys in the category of getting the ball every 5th day, Zach. Well, let's start with the 2 teams where Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez. Typically, if you knew in Baltimore, remember when Corbin Burns was there, you go, he gets the ball every day, every 5th day. That one day you felt really damn good about your team winning. In Boston, they have 2 of those days now with Crochet and Ranger. When they get the ball, we feel really, really good about winning. And most times you probably will. In New York, you have 2 or 3 of those guys, Cole, Fried, and then if Rodon pitches like he did last year, you feel really good about giving your team a chance. In Baltimore, I love the talent. I'm a big Brad guy. I think Kyle Bradish, you can file him in there at 1, give him the ball every 5th day. You feel good. But you see the difference when we talk about that. There's a confidence level. There's a dominance level.
And here's the thing. I'll say this. I think because obviously, I very bullish on Bradish. I think when healthy, top 3 to 5 pitcher in baseball. I think it's the question marks around Bradish. And I'm not just saying with Bradish, but around him, meaning if you, Ryan, you tell me right now, hey, Orioles this summer or, this fall are playing in the playoffs. Game 1, we're handing it to a healthy Kyle Bradish. I'm going, beautiful. That's how you drew it up. But okay, is Trevor Rogers pitching the same way? Is Zach Gallen taking that, getting back healthy? Because people forget, everyone talks about, 2024, Corbin Burns, 8+ innings, 1-run ball, and they lost. Zach Gallen went out the next day and shoved. Still gave them a chance to win. I believe left with a tie or just down 1 in like the 5th, 6th inning. So he did his job. But there's still questions. If you would have had a Ranger Suarez where you're going, hey, Bradish gets ball game 1, Suarez gets ball game 2, Framber gets ball game 2, whoever you want to insert there, and then you go, and then Rogers or Boz or anyone is getting game 3, you're feeling really good. But that second, that almost bridge player of, hey, we now know we have a very solid top 2 that can get away with it. I think that's where it would have been really nice to get a Ranger. So,
I mean, and that's exactly to the point I was making, right? It's the, when you say it out loud, you go, damn, that's pretty good. And I mean this wholeheartedly. We see it every year in sports. This isn't a reaction to going like, oh, damn, this team's screwed. The Orioles are not screwed. It's no team is screwed in January right now. They're not. Now, some teams are in a worse position and where they are as an actual team. But when you're looking at the AL East, look, the Orioles, they're not why they have pieces in place. And if the pieces play well, they're going to be in it. It's just more so about when it's going to get more challenging. And you need your depth to kick in. And you need your big game guys to step up. Trevor Rogers, Shane Baz, Kramer, who else is in the rotation that I'm missing on, Zach? Bradish, and who's the 5th one that I have right now?
I said Eflin, Rogers, Kramer, Boz, Bradish. And then at the moment, Kramer, Bradish, Boz, Trevor, Eflin. Yeah, that's 5.
And then you have Wells, who I think the other part is I think Wells needs to go to the pen. And I love me some Wells, but I think to keep him healthy, he's comfortable. You still need to figure out your bullpen here. Not the highest priority right now because they got Helsley in the back end. They have some pieces. You can put that together, but it's more so we saw in 2023, if you play the game well and you play the game and you're good in close situations. And I want to emphasize this part. The Blue Jays were a middle of the pack or bottom 3rd. I think they were 20th or 19th in team ERA all of last year, right? That's not good. But you know what they were excellent at? They were the top batting average team in baseball. They were one of the best situational teams in baseball. Why they went so far to the World Series and so close to winning it. Yankees, Boston, they had their strengths as a team. So Baltimore, or just like any of those teams, it comes down to playing well, and whatever your identity and strength of a team is, you use that and you go out and play. Because back in 2023, the Orioles weren't a great team ERA overall. They had a strong finish from Bradish and Grayson. But what were they better than anybody else in 2023? 1-run games, comeback victories. That's why the Orioles were the best team in the American League in 2023, not because their starting staff was so elite. Problem is, this division and this situation is daunting. And you don't know what's going to happen with injuries. So that is the biggest part here for Baltimore. They just can't afford it because they still don't have the full depth, Zach. They don't. I see some questions in here. I think Brooks had earlier. Does 4 and 120 get Framber?
I don't think so.
Maybe before it did, but certainly I don't think it does now. he's going to want more. And if I'm Framber, you could say you have questions about it, but how badly do you want to win? Ball's in his court. Now, the biggest name trademark that we're going to look at that's still available, because here's the part then, Zach. Let's jump in. That was the headliner of this. What's next, right? This is what's happened. What's next? The options are, do you go and get Framber Valdez? That's one. Do you take a low risk, high reward, but you don't necessarily check the box off of a frontline starter? You could get a Zach Gallen. You could get one of those guys that could push the needle, but could be this year's Nick Pivetta that surprises out of nowhere and has great value. Nick Pivetta, by the way, was one of the top pitchers in the National League last year. So before everyone's like, oh, brother, this guy stinks. No. Pivetta balled last year.
Shout out Kevin.
Shout out Kevin.
True identifier of talent.
True identifier. So there's that, Zach. So of those options, it still feels like Framber is the most for sure, but I wouldn't sleep on Gallen. But that's still the same investment of, if it's a short-term deal with Gallen, because that's what I think he'd look for. I don't think he wants to buy himself low. I think he wants to prove himself, right?
I'd give Gallen 2 years. I'd give him 2 years, 50 to 6. Yeah, probably 50 million. 2 years, 50 million. But Ryan, I'll say this about the benefit of the quote unquote what's next discussion is, we can talk about how nice it would be to have a 1 through 3 of Bradish, a Framber, Gallen, and then Rogers. But I think what people are also not fully taking into account is, holy crap, does that make Shane Baz this weapon, this potential factor? Because we know the potential of Shane Baz. Yeah, he's coming off injury, but man, everyone said about Trevor Rogers, oh, but that was 3 years ago, where he was young and had that potential. He's had surgery since. Yeah, he's still coming back. Could you imagine if you have a solid 1 through 3, but then Shane Baz takes that next step, he gets back to what he was. Now suddenly you're talking about a 1 through 4 that can go up with anyone if everyone is, sitting around what that we know they can do. I just think it takes so much pressure off of the back end of the rotation. It takes pressure off of the guys like Kramer, like Baz, like Eflin. Suddenly, Eflin, it's not, hey, if your back's not doing well, we still need you to pitch because you're a part of the 5-man rotation now. It's, hey, we need everyone to be healthy. There's no pressure of someone has to take that massive step because we have those consistent factors. If you go out there and you would have gotten a Ranger, now let's put Gallen in there, because I'm not sure about Framber. I know everyone wants him, but I don't know if that's going to happen in Baltimore. I just feel like that opens up, it takes the pressure off so many guys. It's like what we talked about last year in the bullpen, where it's like, hey, if you know your role, you're a 7th inning guy, that helps tremendously. It takes the pressure off of you because hey, I just need to get 3 outs and I'm handing the ball to Felix. If all of a sudden Felix is gone, the year before when they're competing and Craig Kimbrell's in there, and now suddenly it's Danny Coulombe is trying to get some saves. It's just everyone is trying to get, having to step up into roles and having to not just expected to, hey, take that step. They need to for it to be competitive. I think it just takes off so much pressure if you add another guy, because then it allows the other guys to freely take that step.
And no doubt about it, Zach, and not where, in the minors, because people are going to say, well, what about other guys if in the minors that could be options? Here's the thing is they could be options, but last year when you saw in limited time for guys, it was, and also pitching in the bigs and trying to find your footing when the team is stinking it up. It's really hard to find yourself when there's a negative vibe or you just know things aren't great. You're not hitting your expectations. That's a very hard place to be. But the other part with this, Zach, is players that are trying to break through. That is the ultimate unknown. And then you might have guys like you saw last year with the Blue Jays You have a Savage come up just and freaking deal, but that shouldn't be the expected result. He was ready and he balled out, and that was a pleasant surprise for Toronto. Baltimore, any team, you can't think like that. And you're right. Zach Eflin, I think, will be valuable, no doubt. But Zach Eflin, to me, also, why he got hurt more was his ability, his resiliency to say, I got to go out there and try. And I give him a lot of freaking credit, man, because he was hurt from the start. He came back too early. He tried to battle through, and whammy, it hurt him. And he's now got fixed. But don't have that be where he has to be a hero and a savior. That's why when we're looking at these options, and Shane Baz, like, I mean this, and watching him and dissecting him, the dude has top 2 potential. He does. But potential doesn't make you feel good about 2026. And I recognize that, and I understand Birdland and everyone what you're thinking. So here's the case. If we just said, here's the free agents opportunities, what about the trade opportunities? In this case right now, you're looking at a few names that I'll throw out. Mackenzie Gore, Freddie Peralta, and can you convince the Twins to trade one of Joe Ryan or Pablo Lopez? That's where people are going to go. Yeah. Can you get one of those guys? And Zach, the answer of all of those, the most expensive will probably be Joe Ryan. Right now would probably be Joe Ryan. Freddie Peralta and Pablo Lopez, I think Freddie being on a rental technically would have maybe a little bit less value than Pablo, but Freddie, if you were going to say top pitcher on the market right now, Freddie Peralta's name, he would probably command the highest amount. So to me, Freddie, Joe, and Pablo are more proven than Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore to me is similar to the Shane Baz. Give up a lot, team control, electric stuff, but an unknown consistency result right now. So Zach, I mean, I know people want to see this Joe Ryan trade happen. I just don't see an option there. I don't, because I don't even know if you would be able to give up enough. If you gave up whatever you did to the Rays, you might be giving up the whole farm, like literally the entire farm to get Joe Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to talk about just pure ace stuff of the group, it's like you said, it's Freddie Peralta. I get he's on a 1-year deal. I get that you're going to need to, go through the extension stuff, all of that. But if we're talking about the Orioles are going for it in 2026, the guy you call is the Brewers with Freddie Peralta. Simple as that. He's the guy. He's the guy who I think has the best stuff. I'll even go as far as when we talk about potential, what he's at right now is what you're hoping Mackenzie Gore gets to, what you're hoping Joe Ryan takes that step to. And Freddie Peralta, this is not just a guy where it's like, he's gotten better each year. Little down in 2024, but, only a 3.68 ERA. A tough 2023, a 3.86 ERA, over 165 innings. Comes out last year, 2.7 ERA, 17 wins, 6 losses. Pitched in 33 games, 176 innings, 204 strikeouts. I think he's everything you would want. And if you are willing to go and get it done, that's the guy you need to go. If you are desperate and you're saying, hey, it's time to go make a difference, somebody that you're going to hand the ball to on, I think it's like March 27th, March 28th, whatever opening day is. If you get Freddie Peralta, I still think you probably that is the biggest game changer. So
yeah. I mean, no doubt about it. Like, but here's the thing, Zach. If you trade for Freddie Peralta, unlike last time when you traded for a Brewers pitcher, hey, you know what? Hey, Freddie, we're glad to have you. And here's a new here's this pen. You see this pen? I don't have a pen on me. here, you're going to sign this contract for an extension, write me out. Like we're doing this. It's over. It's done. Because if you do that and you make that move, you need to make sure that he's a part of your plans moving forward. You have to. You absolutely have to with the amount of guys. And I tell you what, you're right. If we were looking at all those options that were available, Freddie Peralta would give the Orioles that added juice. Now, the Orioles' name wasn't connected to Freddie, at least at this moment, but who gives a shit? Like, the reports out of this is how quickly things can change in baseball, because the Orioles, I agree, and I do believe, I believe, Zach, Ranger Suarez and the Orioles, there was a lot of conversations. The Orioles were having these conversations. But guess what? Boston might have not had the conversation because they had their eyes elsewhere. And in an instant, they lose Bregman. They're getting criticized. They go, we're going to pivot. We don't like any of the other bats that are out there. Whammy, let's go get one of the top pitchers. No ands, ifs, or buts. And they did it. This is how quickly the market can move. So don't sleep on if you don't hear any connections. Did you hear any connections that the Orioles were training for Shane Baz? Hell no. Hell no. But that is something that I'm looking to watch. That is going to be the next thing. And honestly, the whole baseball world is going to see, where does Framber Valdez go? But who is actually going to land Framber and another pitcher? Another pitcher is getting moved, Zach, in this process. I just would be shocked. I feel that that's going to happen. Whether that's to Baltimore or somewhere else, you feel that momentum. You feel like that's going to be it. So, and in the meantime, we'll find out about two other big free agents, Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette. If Tucker goes to the Jays, Bo Bichette's probably not going there. He's probably going to go to Philly or one of those other squads. If Kyle Tucker takes the big money from the Mets or the Dodgers on a shorter deal but higher AAV, average annual value, Zach, say it with me.
Average annual value.
There it is. Then he could go elsewhere and say, screw it, I'll cash back in. If I'm Tucker, I want to get the bag now. I don't want to think about that later. That's just me. So then that we'll see what happens right there, Zach. But baseball, you guys were worried that deals were done with. Well, deals are getting done, just might not be the ones that you were hoping for. But if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're doing this live every time from 3 to 5, Monday through Friday. Sorry, I'm a little frazzled. I'm still pissed. I blame Jared Carrabis for this. I do.
This is definitely his fault. 1,000% his fault.
Oh, disgusting. Because, and for those that are wondering, Ranger Suarez, deal to the Red Sox, 5 years, $130 million. That's $26 million a year. No deferrals, no opt-outs. 5 years, $130 million. He'll be pitching up there in Boston. He's shipping up there to the Red Sox, and we will wait on the next moves. Now, Zach, we do have a ton to talk about still. Like, there's a lot to talk about here because we are based out of Baltimore and Maryland, for those that don't know. Baseball is our backbone, but obviously there's a lot of things going around in the NFL world. There's a lot of things going around the rest of the sports world. So we will talk about the John Harbaugh situation because that's buzzing. And we were supposed to have Ian O'Connor, who has one of the main pulses on this situation. But because John Harbaugh's in New York, Zach, and because he could be signing or could be the next Giants head coach, we're going to wait and see. But Ian O'Connor, we plan to have a conversation with him the rest of this week. We do have a friend of Birdland tomorrow, and that will be at 4 p.m. here on the show for a little PSA. Our channel members, we will let you know who that is, but you don't want to miss that on that case. Yeah. I'm still a little stunned.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just came out of nowhere. You know, you didn't really see any connections. It's funny enough, we actually had Jared Carrabis on yesterday, and he told us, he was like, I don't understand why people think they're going to pivot to pitching. Like, do they not have a roster? Now it makes, I mean, Boston's got to figure out their rotation now. You know, someone's now going. Boston's actually really improved their rotation over this offseason. You know, Jared was complaining about Is Sonny Gray the big guy added to the rotation? Well, no. Now Sonny Gray is your third. And if Bayo and Oviedo are your 4 and 5, you're doing pretty well. And that's not even counting early. I mean, they've got some star power and, just good pitching, quality, young potential in Boston right now. They're still a scary team. They are just as in it for the title of AL East champ as anyone in this division, probably besides the Rays, but they'll win 85 games no matter what.
Always do.
What they do.
They always do. The AL East is going to be buzzing. We'll have so much more baseball conversation, but that is the baseball conversation today. Ranger Suarez to the Red Sox. If another move happens later, we'll break it to you and we'll talk about it here. And if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. And also, we are on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts. So do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And for our channel members on YouTube, appreciate you guys continuing to make it run. We're working out our full programming for 2026. Excuse me. The day for call-ins for channel members, I believe, seems like a Friday event, Zach. I feel like we're feeling good. We're getting to the weekend. So for our Rips Better kids, our plan is Friday to bring back the call-ins. That is what we would like to do for you all and to be a part of it. And obviously, there's other perks with being a channel member, so appreciate all of those that have helped us out as we continue to grow. And before we continue on with the rest of the stream, Zach, I think we have to head to AutoStream.
Yeah, I didn't have it right this time. Now we're good.
Oh no!
And then now we're doing.
We had a wild Jeff Passan tweet, and then there's a wild Ryan Ripken photo right there. So thank you to our friends over at AutoStream Car Care Center. They got 10 locations in Maryland, and right now with our partnership, we're going to be together throughout this 2026 year. But let us help you. If you have any car issues, $50 off for any service that you are looking to get done. Now, you can't combine all already offers out there, but if you go there and you need to get something fixed, mention Ryan Ripken or the Ryan Ripken Show, and they will give you $50 off. So appreciate our friends over at AutoStream Car Care Center. Now, Zach, back to the stream. Hey, buddy, come here.
How's it going?
I'll be honest. I'm trying to take a deep breath. There's a lot of things happening. You have like your little wild story or kind of a conspiracy, but not, and we'll save that maybe for the next segment, which that's a part of our like Wild Wednesdays. I don't know how we're going to do it.
We'll figure it out. Wild Wednesday, Wild Wacky. We'll figure it out. We'll figure a name out. Just, stay with us.
Yeah, I'd say anyone in the chat, let us know what names for some of our segments you want us to have. Wild Wednesday, we're going to have a theory or a story that's out there that you might think is crazy. So, for example, in the past, it's still one of my favorites. I said it yesterday. Chuck E. Cheese got arrested in front of kids in a full costume.
Chucky.
And you're like, that just feels really right for this segment. I don't even know how to properly explain that. Go look at those photos if you're curious. That was a long time ago. Or in this case, spoiler alert for what it is, maybe the reason why someone doesn't want to go pro. Conspiracy theory. Zach Bollinger, we have that. I don't know if we're going to go to Thong Thursday.
Yeah, I don't know if we got, maybe if the getting ripped with Rip and the merit go better, then maybe. But we would have to do some work to get there. Yeah. I don't think anyone needs to see that.
Yeah, no. That definitely might be a problem on the YouTube side.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be a major problem.
Now, if I was still playing Zach and I was in a hitting slump, then Thong Thursday might have to be a thing. Because that's how you get out of it, buddy. That you do anything necessary to get out of it. Thong Thursday. Hey, Derek Jeter wore the golden thong.
Yeah.
Went deep, got out of it. Damn right. You know?
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. All right, let's pivot real quickly. Let's go to the other storyline that we wanted to get to today. It's football. Don't worry. We'll get back to a little bit of the rest of the programming of baseball, the news. It's out there. Let's go with this. It's starting to really heat up, this whole John Harbaugh conversation. And actually, first off, people were wondering, Bisciotti could do the funniest thing, and Mike Tomlin could become the next head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Bisciotti made his comments about it yesterday, really playing it off. Only if John went there. But then other teams, all the reports, Zach, going, damn, Mike Tomlin, someone could want him to coach this year. And all the reports are coming out. Mike saying, I'm going to take the year off.
It ain't happening, so quit asking.
Yeah. So Mike Tomlin, year off. Dude, I'd love to see him on television. I would love to see Mike do his thing. I would love to see the "we do not care" on the airwaves. I think he will be tremendous. I do think he will be a Sean Payton candidate. Take a couple years, wait for the right chance, hop back into it. So for all that are wondering in this situation, take Mike out. John Harbaugh is still the it factor. Mm-hmm. So, like I mentioned, we were going to have from The Athletic today, Ian O'Connor join us, but given the Harbaugh situation, we're going to have to wait. Why is that, Zach? Because John Harbaugh, apparently they're throwing out all the stops. Yeah. And from your if this was you, by the way, in an ownership, the reports are we're gonna bring our private plane down. We're gonna fly you up. We're gonna show you everything that you need. And we're literally, it feels like, here's a blank check. What do you want?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good, but I think you mentioned this to me before. If John wants anything, is it just money at this point in time, right? And I think that's the big part too that I think could be a holdup here as we try to see if John's going to sign with the Giants today.
Yeah, I just think, and there's some other people talking about the connection and his respect he has for Matt Ryan, who is now president of operations down in Atlanta. Super funny that he had to leave his CBS job, but Tom Brady can own a team and still gets to call games, but that's a whole separate subject. We are approaching this point where I think it's down to probably two teams. I think it's got to be between the Giants and the Falcons. I actually really like the fit in Tennessee. I thought if you want to have the best situation, Cam Ward, $100 million in cap space. I know you have to deal with that ownership, and that might have been a scary thought for John. But as much as I think it ends up being the Giants, I just don't think personally that Harbaugh makes the decision without talking to the Falcons, because he's not at risk of, if he leaves New York, he gets a phone call tomorrow and they're like, hey, we had to sign so-and-so. Like we got to wait up. He's going to be the one that's holding up any team that wants in on him. He's not waiting for anyone. So I don't see why he would sign a deal before leaving New York unless he's 1,000% sure, hey, this is the spot for me. I have full control. Whatever he needs, this is what's happening. I'm taking this. I think he talks to Atlanta. I think he ends up ultimately going to the Giants. But it feels unlike Harbaugh to not kind of take this a little bit more time, weigh all of his options. I mean, heck, he told teams last week, he's like, yeah, I'll do phone calls and stuff. You can come to me, but I'm not doing interviews until next week. So he knows he's in control. You know, I think he knows he's in control. So I just don't see him rushing into this decision. Now, I think it gets done in the next 3 days. I think he knows where he is within the next week for sure. And maybe it is in the next few minutes, few hours. I know the Giants would hope it is. You know, they want to give him whatever. They're giving him the world. Full reins of this team. This is your team. You want something done to it? It's happening. This is your team. I wonder if he is going to give the Falcons a chance to talk. I just feel like that's, you know, from what we've seen from John Harbaugh, he's not going to be someone who just rushes into a decision unless he really didn't like what Atlanta said on the phone earlier. in their previous meetings. Unless that happened, I don't see why he would just be like, okay, I'm just going to pick the Giants and not talk to Atlanta, because there is a lot to like in Atlanta. It's a lot of talent. You look at that offense.
It's a tremendously talented team.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part that frustrates the hell out of you when you watch it or watch the Falcons, because you're just like, that team roster-wise should have been the best team in the NFC. That team should have been in the playoffs, but they made a lot of mistakes. That's why they're not. I think the part that I always look at is, how do people value you?
Mm-hmm.
How much do they want you? And I think that is important. Do you feel the love? Do you feel you can do what you want? But above all, does that group think that you are the best thing? Now, yeah, you could say Falcons might be really appetized, and you got to be sold on Michael Penix Jr. That's what you're going to do. But dude, if it's me and I'm John, I'm the next Giants head coach. I think that where he's getting caught up with it, and I'm seeing some tweets out there about the amount of respect he has for Matt Ryan, who's now the team president of the Falcons, former quarterback. And he probably would give them a courtesy to, like, hey, let's hear the pitch. But I just, when I see what the Giants are doing, Zach, how they're going about it, if I'm John, I'm like, they want me so damn bad. The fan base is behind this. Jackson Dart is a young quarterback that you're interested in. You could kind of have a blank canvas if you wanted, so to speak. I feel like it's aligning. And you know what? They're going to want to run the damn football. And if Pat Ricard is not going to be in Baltimore, his ass better be up there with the Giants, because we need Ricard, Scattaboo, Dart, and those boys humming. That would actually be electric. I'd be really sad, but that'd be electric. And then Greg Roman goes to the Giants. Could you imagine if that's a reunion?
I genuinely think that, something I saw and I think happens is, if Monken doesn't get, which I don't think he's going to get, the Browns head coaching job, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to LA to be with the Chargers.
Dude, Monken, wherever he goes, I saw the Bucks for Monken or the Chargers. Wherever he goes, I want him to come back on. We're going to talk about offenses. That's the one thing I want to talk about. Like, what gets you excited about certain things and packages? I would have loved for him to explain more. Just wasn't the setting for that one. But about walk me through. Derrick Henry. Walk me through like how you'd use those guys and what went wrong in those specific cases. But another place to be like, hey, like, how you plan to use, you go to the Buccaneers, like Bucky Irvin. How do we get Igbuka going? He's a pretty good player. Not just talking about my fantasy team, though.
I was going to say, the first question I'm asking is, how involved are we having Emeka Egbuka, and how many designed? Can we get some Zay Flowers, just blatantly designed routes to get him the football? Because that's what I need. Weeks 1 through 5, I'm still holding on to as an Emeka Egbuka dynasty player. I mean,
I'm right there with you. Hey, Big Mike won our dynasty league to keep it alive, and I have Egbuka, where I was feeling really good until like week 9, but I still have all the belief in the world in him. And then I had Judkins on the Browns, just like everything for the Browns, where it's been like, it was just shattered for the rest of the year with that awful injury to Judkins. But I digress. We're not going to go into our fantasy woes and thoughts, but it's really intriguing. John's going to have full control with the Giants. It just feels that is what's happening. And again, I think it comes back to, how bad does someone want you? How bad do you feel wanted? And Bisciotti said it the other day, is that he hated the criticism, how the fan base was feeling with John. And down the road, man, like, people are going to really to have an appreciation for what John did. Right now, it's a mixed bag of people with their emotions and feelings. Mm-hmm. I got all the love and respect for John. He's been great to me, great to my family. And I enjoyed every moment, wouldn't say I enjoyed every moment, but I mean, I cherished the moments that he gave to us, and I appreciate all the work that he did. But I think it's something to be said that it felt a conflicting feeling here in Baltimore. He's going to have renewed energy going to a place that is asking him, the Giants. It's been a, that's one of the staple organizations throughout the National Football League for decades. And they're trying to get back. And they said, you are our guy. Like, to me, I'm going, all right, I'm your guy. I'm going to sign right now. So let's see if we're right. I'm saying Giants. What's your choice? We're going to say it right now.
Giants. I think he goes to the Giants, but I think he gives the Falcons a courtesy. I say he's old school. Yeah,
he gives a ring. Gives a ring. Hello.
Well, I think he goes down there. I think he then goes right back to New York and signs there. It's going to be the Giants. I just think and also he has a very good, I think, relationship with Arthur Blank. So I think he would, out of courtesy there as well, go down there and be like, hey, let me hear the pitch.
Yeah. That's it.
I mean, if Penix would have panned out, I mean, you could also argue if Penix pans out, then
I think the jury's still out on Penix. Like in a not in a good or bad way, it's out. Arm talent's there, Zach. Arm talent's there.
Well, it is. It's the injury thing, and then you don't know how much he's going to miss of next year. How much, I just think there's too many questions.
There's a lot of question marks. That's the bigger part. There's a lot of question marks, and who has their first round pick this year?
The LA Rams. Which I will say, James Pierce Jr., fantastic year. Fantastic year. I think they just were thinking that pick would be in the 20s and not. At one point, it looked like it could be top 5. So thankfully, they went on that run at the end where I think they won like the final 4 games or like 5 of their last 6, because it could have gotten ugly with the Rams getting a top 5 pick. That would have sucked. That would have sucked. But you know what? McVay, the Rams, they're still rolling. Yeah. Matthew Stafford looks like he's having the most fun he's had all of his career. But it just goes to show you, going to a place in an environment can really change an outlook for a player. Matt going from Detroit to LA not only proved to people how good he was, but now he's still playing at an elite level with Sean McVay. I think with some of these next hires, we could possibly see the next wave of that. But to pivot one more time, do we pivot or we move? Pivot. We're moving at this point.
We're moving?
Yeah, I don't think
I don't know why I'm using this. We're running a route. We're going to move. We're going to go out and up here. Let's go to this other conversation about Tomlin, because we'll get back to the Ravens situation. The one part about Mike Tomlin that I didn't touch on earlier about him saying he's obviously he resigned and he's not going to go back into coaching. It's the fact that the Steelers have an opening now and they are going to hire candidates. And one of those candidates that was at least on Baltimore's list, Zach, Brian Flores, I guess it was a request, or he just did meet with the Steelers. And if we're looking at a fit of like a hard nose, that Pittsburgh Steeler way, damn, dude, Flores feels like he would fit that mantra. Now, this is probably maybe a poll question we could put out. What to you is Pittsburgh Steelers a desirable place to go as a head coach? Where do you rank that? Because they need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is not going to come back next year, is what it seems.
Yeah, they've kind of made that. Mr. Rooney made that pretty apparent, it seems like.
Mike Tomlin came for
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers came for Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
So, but I'd like that, because part of it is, if you're going from an organizational standpoint, Pittsburgh's a top-class organization. You can be pissed off. They're fantastic. But there are some question marks about what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take another risk there if you're a first-time head coach? Or this could be, for like Brian Flores, man, this could be his last opportunity if he does, because it would be his second time being a head coach and going through it. And if it doesn't turn out well, how many times do you see a head coach become a head coach somewhere else for the third time when there's been some struggle, right? So do you want me to make that poll real quickly, or are you reading up on some things?
Yeah, I was just finding I was just looking for a quick video, but I wasn't able to find it. I I'm going to say this, and maybe it's, some partial bias because in Baltimore and stuff. I think that if we're looking at the head coach vacancies, I don't think Pittsburgh's top 3. And I'm going to include the Giants in that just because of the young talent. I think every team has some sort of desirable quality, whether it's a young quarterback, whether it's the Raiders. I'm just giving the Raiders Mendoza. I'm not sure. The Dolphins one, it's better than the Dolphins. It's better than the Browns. Trying to go through all the vacancies in my head. It's better than Arizona. But I think the question, I've seen so many people like, oh, but there's like the world is your oyster at quarterback. That's not a good thing. Like if you're saying the world is your
what's your wish for there?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but it's only been because of all these veterans that have been there for a year, haven't worked out and moved on. It's not like they're like, oh, the world's your oyster. You have this pick of all these young. It's not like you have the number one pick like the Raiders where you're like, hey, if you want to trade this for somebody, you can do that. If you want to pick Mendoza, you can do that. That's the world is your oyster at quarterback. It just feels like, okay, they've got some aging veterans, Hayward, Watt, Ramsey. You need to figure out something on offense. You got to get DK some more help. You need to figure out a quarterback. The only thing that is appealing about Pittsburgh is the intangibles. Incredible, organization, top to bottom. I think job security. This is what I question with job security, though. People always mention they've only had 3 head coaches since 1969. Oh, your job security is incredible. They also had winners. I don't know if that job security, if you're getting 18, 19 years and you've lost, you lose your first 4. Like, I just don't think that, job security is as big of a pool, because if you start losing rather immediately and you're in year 3 or 4 and you haven't made the playoffs because you're in a quote unquote rebuild, I don't know if the Rooneys are going to be like, oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. We've committed to 20 years for you. We only change coaches every 20 years. I don't think that's just, there's so much job security in Pittsburgh. I think you have to perform to get that job security. You win the first 5 years, you get job security for sure. You go to the playoffs a few times, you finally get some playoff wins, you win a Super Bowl, you're set. But it's getting there.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of pressure, and I don't know. I think Mike Tomlin, we talked about this yesterday, just did such an incredible job of getting the most out of this team that we're going to see with somebody else. And hey, maybe I think, my top guess would be like a Brian Flores, maybe a Chris Shula. I think they definitely go defense. I know the Rooneys love defensive-minded head coaches. I think that they could do well, but I'm intrigued to see what the difference looks like next year. Do they take a team that is maybe not the greatest on paper and turn them around? Do they overperform? Or is this something where we look back and we're like, wow, Steelers were not in a great spot? And I'll say this, my last thought on this. The Steelers sucking next year might not be the worst thing if you're the Steelers, because the worst thing about Mike Tomlin, I'm going to call this the quote unquote worst thing. Every year you're picking between 17 and 25. It was, and we'll get into this soon because don't know if you heard, Ryan, next year's quarterback class looks pretty good. Looks pretty intriguing. You got a Manning in there. You got some more. So I think the biggest thing that has hurt the Steelers is that sitting in that purgatory, that, middle ground of, can you really get a, franchise altering player at 18? It's possible, but you got to get a little lucky. Is the top quarterback going to be available there? No. It would not be the worst thing for me if I'm a Steelers fan or if I'm the Steelers organization. If you have 1 year of not living up to the quote unquote Steeler standard and you go, and let's say you win 5 games, you go 5-12, but you secure a guy that you believe is your franchise quarterback with this new regime, I almost think that's a best case scenario than a guy coming in there and they continue to win 10 games.
Trade for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, like if they get Kyler Murray and they win 10 games with Kyler for 2 years.
Overall, so I got both polls up right now on the verticals and the horizontal. So if you're in YouTube right now, hey, appreciate all of you guys. If you're on X or Facebook, appreciate all you guys. Hit that like, subscribe, wherever button you can would be great. But I put up the poll so far, Zach, on is Pittsburgh still a top 3 head coach vacancy this NFL offseason? And so far on the vertical, still a yes. 60% say yes right now. That could obviously change. It's early on in the voting. And on the other side here, Zach, on the horizontal, it is 62% are saying yes, it's still top 3 this offseason, which is that again, I think that's a testament to the organization. It's a testament to the organization, but a lot of and that matters because did you see Steve Bisciotti the other day? Did you see Steve go out there, Mr. Bisciotti, and just it's like he puts on the glasses and it's that thing, or the glasses come on, it's got like the cigarette where you're like rolling down your car, like being just a boss. You know what meme I'm talking about there?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it right there. So Steve Bisciotti I love Steve. He's the man. And also, not just being objective, he is considered one of the best owners in all professional sports. He is. And also, he doesn't do a lot of media. I don't blame it. He wants to just chill, be behind the scenes, smoke his stogies and chill, and then, be a fan of his team. But he is very objective and he's very well thought out. And he is going to trust his group, even trust Lamar Jackson for his input and some other players or coaches front office executives. But make no mistake, Zach, he has the power. That would have been my favorite line from that. He goes, I love everyone. I have the power.
Yeah.
I love these guys. They will never have the power.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't. That's just the way the business works. Be interesting to see. But one thing really kind of, I could tell chapped Steve's ass in that conversation was the comments that Tony Dungy made the last week. And Tony Dungy tweeted it out, Zach, but the words that Steve said was almost directly correlated to the line that Tony said to us on the show last week. So Tony Dungy was saying about trying to find the next John Harbaugh. So let's play that clip first. I want to give the full context to this, and then we'll play Steve's reaction to that. So, Zach, I'm going to pull this clip up. I got it. 3, 2, whammy.
Baltimore's going to win. The kick goes wide right. The stadium explodes. Everybody's happy and fired up. I never dreamed that anything can happen with John Harbaugh. And I get the news the next day. My son told me, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was one of those, they've got it on social media, but it's really not true. I actually spoke with another owner who was considering a move with their front office and head coach, and we talked about it. And I said, here's what you have to consider. Don't look at your record, because a game can go one way or another on a bad call, a missed field goal. That can happen. Here's what you need to really discern. You're there every day. Is the building being run the way you want it run? Is the coach and the general manager taking it in the direction that you want? And the second question is everybody in the building on the same page? If you answer yes to those questions, proceed forward. You've got the right person in charge. If no, it's not being run the way I want, then have a discussion with the leadership and tell them the way you want it run. If everybody's not on the same page, that's a different story. Now you have to discern if that person can get everybody on the same page. If you don't think so, then maybe you need to make a move. But don't base it on the record. Don't base it on fans. Don't base it on the noise outside the building. Watch what's going on in your building. I was surprised, but I don't know what's going on in the building. And I don't criticize Steve Bisciotti. I just say good luck in finding somebody better than John Harbaugh.
So I think Tony Dungy is just a very good guy. And also when you're at that age and you've been around, like you're just going to say what you feel. And Tony was very outspoken about like, I don't fully get it. But what I wanted to do the whole context of this is because he did say, if you think in your building, the message isn't there and you feel you got to move on, then you should. But he was saying, well, it's hard to find a good head coach. It's really hard to find one. Well, Steve didn't like those comments, Zach. He didn't like that last part. Good luck finding a coach that is better than John Harbaugh. Well, here was Steve Bisciotti yesterday at the press conference answering to that specific comment there. I'm going to play it for you guys.
Dungy said this is a bad decision and good luck finding someone better than John. I literally wanted to call Tony and say, you remember John 18 years ago? How can you take our success and use it against me while we're out trying to find the next John Harbaugh? That's impossible. So if I hire an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, none of y'all can say anything about his poor record the first time he was a head coach. And so it would be very easy for me to try and avoid those ex-head coaches because they have losing records. But I'm telling you, we are keen to their circumstances, and we won't let their first shot at a job influence us negatively for this one. As far as offensive.
So who wanted to point that out right there? Hey, Tony, do you know how John Harbaugh became John Harbaugh? I hired him. I noticed him. But you could tell like that really ruffled and that really pissed off Steve. But again, I wanted to play the context first, Zach, because look, a couple reasons there's some factors here I think people should know. So one, Tony did say, not trying to criticize Steve. He knows his building. He doesn't move the direction. You move on. It's just the unknown, I think, was what Tony was trying to say. I don't think it was trying to be like, hey, good luck sarcastic. I think it was just like, it's hard to find one. Steve didn't take it that way. And I don't, Zach, I'd be like, yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to go find the next best one because I already did it once. And Tony, honestly, there was the situation with Tony. Tony was fired or let go by the Bucks. John Gruden comes in, if I'm not mistaken. They win the Super Bowl. And then Tony goes on to Indianapolis, and then the Colts have a run with Peyton, and they win the Super Bowl. So it all worked out. But this was very layered. But I think above all, Steve just wanted to remind people he's damn good at what he does. I think that's the bigger part, Zach, is that Steve believes he is damn good at what he does in evaluating what his team needs.
Yeah, and he talked about it right there. He was like, yeah, we're also not going to be afraid of second chance guys. Like, okay. And I think, honestly, I think he was talking about Robert Saleh. That's very – because everyone wants to point to, well, Saleh failed with the Jets. Okay. Water is wet.
Everyone fails with the Jets.
And water is wet. You couldn't win with the New York Jets? Congratulations. Welcome to the in line. You could have given prime Bill Belichick and Tom Brady the New York Jets, and I'm telling you they don't go on that same thing because it's just a crap show there. You literally have the owner calling out the quarterback and stuff in a press conference, in an impromptu press conference. And all that, like, it's just, there's so many layers there that you're never going to get through. And one thing is clear, even when they were really bad with Robert Saleh, that defense was humming. When the 49ers have lost everyone and their mother on defense this year, he's got them humming. He's a good coach. I think, maybe that was a point to him. Maybe it was to Robert or to Flores. Maybe it was to McDaniel. I just think maybe they are more intrigued by this situation than we've been led on to believe, because everyone just assumes it's the Kubiak, it's the Shula, it's Minter, somebody. It's going to be a first-year head coach. I don't know. And this could be just reading into it too much and Steve being like, hey, we're going to turn every, no stone left unturned. But it does feel like Steve doesn't talk to the media often, but you can bet your ass when everyone in the media was talking yesterday after that, every single person was like, holy crap, Steve Bisciotti is one of those guys. Like, there are people in the National Football League you do not mess with, and Steve Bisciotti is making sure people know he is one of them. And he's going to run that thing. Remember, he has all the power. And it just feels like it is a situation where Steve Bisciotti knows I have to nail this, and I don't think anyone is more confident in Steve Bisciotti nailing this hire than Steve Bisciotti himself. He knows what he's looking for. He knows the guy he wants. He's done a pretty good job of finding him so far.
He has. I mean, trust what the foundation has been. And we just mentioned about the Steelers and Mike Tomlin previously before this conversation. Trust the organization. Steve's been here for a while. The bones were there when Steve was coming in to take over as owner and a full-time owner, and then the bones have been there since he's taken over. And hiring John was that hire, solely him. And then through all those years, you know what you're doing if your organization's having success for the last 2 decades. Really, it's the 3 decades the Ravens have been around. The boys in Baltimore, they're humming. They know what they're doing. So, yeah, when you believe you're going to find the right fit, no doubt in my mind. The one thing I am curious about, though, Zach, with those comments that you made, clearly he's looking at what is another high character guy that can bring out the best in my team. And I'll tell you what, you're saying that the names that come to mind, there's only so many head coaches or former head coaches that are looking for a second opportunity. Now, there's a lot of upcoming ones. Jesse Minter interviewed for the head coaching job. I think that's the 10th now that they've had. But I would not be surprised. If they go and get a high character guy that can set that foundation moving forward, and you get some really good pieces in the coordinator positions to really get there. I got all faith and trust in Steve.
Yeah.
He's going to knock it out of the park. I got no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So if you have any doubts, well, that's your opinion. But you know what we'd love? We would love if you hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show live Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Probably will end a little bit earlier today. We started a little bit earlier because Ranger Suarez went to the Boston Red Sox. If there was ever a reverse jinx or you didn't believe it, Jared 1,000% just freaking.
Without a doubt. It's because of him.
It could be a blessing. It could be a blessing, people. Could be a blessing. Or Rangers going to shove it right up there for however many starts he plays the Orioles this year and the rest of the AL East. But you know what? And don't anyone say that, can't wait for Bo Bichette to get out of the AL East. Let's just heal on that. A lot is still left to be desired. A lot is still left to be decided. And I can't wait for it, Zach. Can't wait. Wait. Just like I can't wait for you to do the merit challenge that you got no idea about.
I'm excited. Just always up
for
a
you sure?
Yeah, we're just going to dominate. It's just simple as that. Show up, dominate, leave. That's what we do.
Show up, dominate, leave, dominate.
That's all we do. It's all we do.
I don't care what Rocco says about you. You're a good kid. Hey, it is Wednesday. Wild Wednesday, wacky Wednesday. But let's put the little tinfoil hat on today. This isn't a wild story, but it is making you think today, Zach. So for our wacky Wednesday, what is the topic that you wanted to talk about?
Well, we have some unfortunately not doing too well for if you are a fan of mock drafts or the draft in general, because you're hoping, hey, get all the quarterbacks out of the way early. We've seen things of if everyone comes out, there could be 4 or 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Push those position players down the board, get more value for teams like Baltimore. That's not the case as we lose a big name. In fact, it was the name supposed to be called second overall in the draft. Dante Moore, quarterback from Oregon, is returning to school to play at Oregon next year. Funny enough, just 2 days after Dylan Raiola committed to be the Oregon quarterback next year, Dante Moore says, not so fast. It's my job. And a lot of people are asking, I've seen stuff online about, hey, Dante Moore, I think someone put it this way, and I really agree with them. He had two choices. He could get about $50 million and be the Jets quarterback, or he could go back to college for a fifth of that and risk losing tens of millions, especially in a more stacked quarterback class next year. Dante Moore chose the second. You can call it betting on yourself. Does he think he's going to put up monster numbers and be the first overall pick next year? Maybe. Or is it that Dante Moore and his agent talked and they realized we are destined for the New York Jets, and the last thing I want to do is have to deal with that, because it seems like it is a fast track to hoping you end up with Kevin O'Connell. That's about all it is. The only hope, if you're getting drafted by the Jets at a quarterback right now, is that Kevin O'Connell, KOC, can save you in about 6 years down the line. Listen, there are probably a bunch of other factors. I'm super excited to see what the NIL deal will look like for this one. Because Ty Simpson was getting $6.5 million offers. I can guarantee you Dante Moore is getting more than that. But if you're the New York Jets, there's that whole old saying, you saw all the memes about when Cooper Flagg, they were like, oh, could Cooper Flagg avoid the draft this year? It's like, same teams that suck this year are going to suck next year, buddy. Like, this could come back to bite him. Maybe he's the first overall pick next year by the New York Jets. Like, you never know. But the more I look into it, if you were about money, you went to the NFL. If you were about opportunity, you went to the NFL. If you wanted to develop, you go back to college. I get that. You can say, oh, he has unfinished business. He wants to go win a national championship in Oregon. I get that. I don't buy it. He saw the Jets sitting at number 2. He knew he was going there. If you're sitting there, and I'll say this, if like in Atlanta is at 2, team where you're like, oh, I can go and I can play with Bijan. I can have Drake London. I can have a squad around me on offense to start my career. Hand it off to Tyler Algier at the goal line. Now I think you go. I truly think that he is terrified of the New York Jets picking second, because I think that is a place, no matter who goes there. I'm so sorry, Ty Simpson. I think your name is getting called now. I think there's concern.
Zach, this is a debate or just like a thought.
Yeah.
Is the Jets the worst thought of organization in the NFL right now?
Yes. Because at least, and I'll say this, if everyone wants to point to like, oh, the Raiders are an absolute shit show, like Raiders are horrible, all this. If I'm a quarterback and I get to play for Tom Brady and get to be coached, and even if he's just there, being able to bounce ideas off of him, he's in meetings, that in and of itself is a big plus. The Jets are in a crappy situation. I don't care your thoughts on Aaron Glenn, because at the end of the day, he's a defensive guy. It's not like you have but there's this offensive guru sitting in New York that you're like, okay, situation might not be the best, but I trust that coach. Does a quarterback trust Aaron Glenn, who is a defensive guru, to get the best out of him? Unless they bring in somebody like a Brian Dable, unless they bring in somebody like a Cliff Kingsbury, where that OC is now, it's like that's the attraction of, okay, I can work with him. I think there's genuine concern by players, especially in this top half of the draft. If you're a quarterback, I think the last place you want to go is New York, because at least in Vegas, one, you're in Vegas, that's cool. You got Tom Brady as your owner, that's cool. You got Brock Bowers that you can just throw it to 100 times a game, that's cool. You're handing it off to Ashton Genty, who they get an offensive line, that's really cool. Like there's potential in Las Vegas. I think the pieces are there, especially, I mean, like Mendoza. I think that's going to be not a good team. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, that's going to be a good team. I think it's going to be a watchable team. I think it's going to be a fun team with a lot of fun young players. I don't get that vibe in New York. The Jets are just selling. Yeah, Jets are just selling off and hoping that whatever they get sticks.
So if you're recapping the wacky Wednesday or wild Wednesday, at least in Zach's mind, is Dante Moore is going back to Oregon because he doesn't want to get drafted by the Jets.
I'm telling you, it's happening. It just feels like
if we ever talk to him, maybe we find that answer out. That'd be. It's a privilege to play in the NFL, the MLB, and all those leagues. You get an opportunity, you will. But having said that, some places can ruin you. And I mean ruin you. And at least if you're looking at recency, the Jets have done that before. Sam Darnold looked like he couldn't be a guy. Well, he looks like a guy. He has the number 1 seed in the NFC. And he looks like a franchise-ass quarterback. Not saying the top tier, but he's a damn good player. So,
I will say this. Dante Moore is 20 years old. So he would have been the youngest quarterback, I believe. I just think everything about that just screams disaster. Young developmental quarterback that maybe the frame isn't the best, but you're trying to develop him in that aspect, going to a Jets team that's already all over the place. I don't think the owner is good at all. And then Aaron Glenn, who I think is a fantastic coach, he's a defensive guy. Like, it's not like you have an offensive guru coming in. It's not like a Ben Johnson last year where you're like, oh, I trust him to develop me and the offense is going to get going and he's going to put me in the best position to succeed. I think there's just so many question marks around the Jets right now. At 20 years old, as a developmental guy, that's not the spot. It's not the spot you want to go to.
Who's also one of the youngest quarterbacks in the draft class went to the Jets.
Was that Wilson? Zach Wilson?
Sam Darnold.
Oh, he was super young that year.
There it is. Whammy. The comparisons are there. But we appreciate that. We appreciate you. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show live here Monday through Friday. Start times now are at 3, but we did start a little bit earlier because of the Rangers Suarez to the Boston Red Sox news. Good times. GT's at the GT. I think honestly, Zach, like we covered quite a bit. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna find out more because this is what's gonna happen. Okay, we're gonna get off. I'm gonna go take care of Ollie and just hang out because he's been a good boy and he needs a walk. Because I'm from home today, we're not in our studio. During baseball season, we'll be in the studio quite a bit. So if you want to see us bopping around in there, don't you worry. But we're gonna do all the rest of our normal routine in our lives, and whammy, some crazy shit's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
If we know anything about the previous, as soon as Schwarber signed, the Orioles didn't get him. They were aggressive and went and got Alonso immediately. So maybe we'll see something similar. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, wouldn't hate it. Would not hate it here. And I know in Baltimore, fans would love it to see the next moves. And when all these moves are getting identified, we will then talk about really what the rosters are going to be. Because right now, I don't like going through, what's going to be the construction here? Who's going to fit in there? Because we still have a month until spring training, and a whole hell of a lot's still going to happen here before the month ends. Also, Zach, I want to give a little PSA. 3 to 5 is going to be our 2026 time for the entire year. One more time as a reminder. And I will be doing a hot stove show for 105.7 The Fan from 6 to 7 p.m. starting next Tuesday.
Ooh.
Actually. Also, I'm doing the Big Bad Morning Show, the 4-hour block on MLK Day.
The 4 o'clock.
What?
4 o'clock. You're doing it on Monday.
6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So 4-hour window.
Oh, that is fantastic. That's incredible. That'll be so much fun.
Well, yeah, you know what? I I have to be. I'm like, you know what? I got to be a little bit careful about what I say, because like here I could say, some things. I could say, being ripped and getting whatever the hell I said yesterday, which wasn't sexual at all, by the way. That was just you and Brad.
2 days ago. That was 2 days ago.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm just saying.
I was just saying we're getting ripped this year.
Yeah, no, we are. We are. Big year.
Big year. And that's a huge year for us. It's a huge year for all of our followers. We appreciate you guys. And we actually officially now have gone over 20,000 on Instagram, over 20,000 on Facebook, approaching 24,000 on YouTube. And the viewership has been tremendous. It's been because of you. So if you're there, give yourself a round of applause. It means the world. We appreciate all the support here as we continue to grow this. And we appreciate our partners, Merit Club, appreciate you. And as we're on this stream, we appreciate the other stream, AutoStream, whammy. AutoStream Car Care Center, $50 off when you mention the Ryan Ripken Show. For any car service, they got 10 locations around Maryland. So take us up on that offer. Take them up on the offer. And you're going to see some colorful content from my time there over this last week. So follow at Ryan Ripken Show on all the platforms here, all the streams. Now back to this stream. Who doesn't love a good stream, right? Kevin gushes for a good stream.
Kevin loves a good stream.
He does.
Kevin just loves it.
He's a good kid. He's a good kid. I did see this one comment about when should the Ravens expect to hire a head coach. When we talked to Jeff Zrebrick the other day, he thought 2 to 3 weeks, roughly. Yeah. That was on Monday.
If they are convinced that Kubiak is a top 3 guy, they're going to wait for the Seahawks to get eliminated or win it all. But I think they waited out on Kubiak, not because I think I would love him as the guy. I still think he's probably my top choice. But I think they're going to wait for him because they want an in-person interview with him, and you can't do that while he is still coaching. So if I'm a betting man, they will make a decision after the Seahawks get eliminated, and it is only right that we return the favor to Seattle, who outweighted us. We thought, we're in the AFC Championship. We go to the Super Bowl. Everyone's going to want to sign a head coach. Mike Mack is good. Seattle said, no, we'll wait. It was like it's going to be a few weeks. So like, that's fine. Oh, are you sure? I mean, you might well get some other coaching candidates in there. Like, the pool's drying up. Don't want to miss out. And they're like, no, we're cool. We'll wait. That's okay. And I'd say it worked out for him. So maybe we return the favor.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
We'll know soon. And for all of you, we'll know soon what the next moves are going to be around the MLB, because my indicator is it's going to continue to get hot, and it's going to get hotter. And I do think, Zach, if we didn't see, I still believe, if Alex Bregman had signed in Boston, we're not talking about Ranger Suarez making a trip up there, but that move changed all of the rest of the offseason plans. And now, ball's in Framber's court. The Mets are going to Steve Cohen, is going to land somebody. So if he doesn't get Kyle Tucker, chips might get pushed into Valdez where you can't compete with that. So, hey, your move with the Orioles and your move with the Yankees. Toronto, what's next? And the rest of Major League Baseball. Tomorrow we'll be live at 3. We have a special guest at 4 p.m. Channel members, you want to know who that is? Guess what? You're going to like it. You're going to like him. You've loved watching this player play. I'll leave it at that, but that's who's joining us tomorrow. Channel members, I will let you know who that guest is here momentarily. But, Zach, any other closing thoughts here before we sign off?
No, just go get a guy. Go get a guy. Sorry to all Jets fans. Someday someone will love you.
One day.
Don't know if it's
once.
Ty Simpson. I'm so sorry. Ty Simpson. Just he's not so the Jets. He's just so the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cue it. Is the music playing?
Yeah.
It is? As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day. Have a night. Have a great stinking rest of your Wednesday. And don't worry, we'll be back to do this whole damn thing tomorrow, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook.